Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 1012. I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Or in Vancouver.
Oh, I'm Chris in Edmonton.
Just literally looking at your camera this time.
Looking at my notes. Looking at my notes. Trying to figure out which ones I don't want to talk about.
Oh, don't want to talk. Why would you write notes if you don't want to talk about them? I don't understand.
Because I just kind of do it in the moment, and then
he's thorough.
How do you take them first watch, like right when you're watching, or your second watch through? Is that when you start taking notes for your episodes?
Yep.
Is that it is? Okay.
Yep. Just sit back, watch, and then
good.
Second time through, then take notes, pause it as I need.
Right.
Things like that.
Interesting. How many times do you watch it? 3 times? This year I've only been watching each episode twice. Yeah, I
two for once.
Just do it once. Yeah,
just one for you. Yeah. I used to do it. I used to do it 3 times, and I felt by the third time I'm just going, I've watched this too many times in a weekend, even something I like.
And in this one in particular, these horror ones, I feel they're kind of better if you just watch it once and let it boil for a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, watching it a few times is not a big deal, but watching it a few times in the span of a day or 2 days it's a little much. It can be a little much.
For those of you that I know. I can't remember the last time I watched an episode 3 times in a weekend, but probably like last
Day of the Doctor.
No, because we did Day of the Doctor pretty much after we saw it, I think, at the time.
In the cinema.
On Saturday. In the cinema. Oh, no, did we? No, we talked. I don't remember. It was
literally
12 years ago. Yeah. 12 years ago.
11 and a half, yeah.
Which is like, and let's look at it this way. The episode that we're talking about is a sequel to an episode that was 17 years ago, kids.
Good gravy.
17 years ago. But first, let's tell you about Gallifrey One. Of course, happening in early February of 2026. Daphne Ashbrook and Yi So are returning to Gallifrey One to join Paul McGann there. I can't believe that Daphne Ashbrook hasn't been there in 9 years.
No.
Yi So hasn't been there in 14 years. For some reason, I just, the TV movie crew, let's face it, they've been to a few conventions, but they've kind of remained scarce over the past little while to sort of milk their. So this appearance feels a little more noteworthy.
Well, Ashbrook lives in L.A., so I mean,
no.
Oh, not that she did. Okay,
no, she used to. As it says on the galley blurb, since she moved to the East Coast, she hasn't been there.
That would explain all the L.A. Who appearances then. Yeah, since she's on the East Coast.
There you are. So that, is 6th to 8th in February, as we hope for a better global political climate for
Please.
We 3
Get it together,
Canadians to
world.
go. Yeah, exactly. As we know, fix America so that Gallifrey One can be enjoyed by all once again.
Number one geopolitical goal.
Huge. Which hopefully Canada will take a step towards tomorrow during Election Day. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Doctor Who, The Well, Season 2, Episode 3 of Disney's Doctor Who, which is what this is. We all kind of knew that this was the episode we were looking forward to, right?
We saw this is standard practice. It's the first 2 episodes are usually kind of, what they are, and then the third one's where it really starts kicking in. And here we are again.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
Certainly last year, Boom was the first one I really looked forward to, and this year, The Well, yeah.
It was The Well. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. But I knew I would. But I think I enjoyed it even more because it was nicely paced for once, and it was spooky, and it was it was simple. Like it basically takes place in 2 rooms. Let's face it, and most of it's in 1 room. Which is kind of what happened in Midnight, which is the unexpected sequel RTD was talking about at the beginning of the year. I thought that might have been last week's, which is like an unexpected sequel to The Toy Maker or something like that. But no, it's this one.
Do you think RTD is going to have a sequel and not be so obvious?
It's a fair point.
That's true. Although it has been pointed out, did it start out as a sequel, or was it kind of like
it did not? No.
No, it didn't.
No.
But I can't remember the name of the co-writer now off the top of my head. But I think they basically says, well, wait a minute. Well, why don't we just do a sequel to Midnight? Kind of like when he was writing the Macra Terror. Not the Macra Terror. Gridlock. And we need some creatures at the bottom, big giant creatures that breathe gas. And he's thinking, oh, wait, Macra do that. Let's just use the Macra, that sort of thing. Like,
that's worth it just for hearing David Tennant on the commentary enthuse about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've got something applicable in the lore, why not use it? Why,
you know what?
Why reinvent the wheel?
I have two examples of that: Star Trek and Star Wars. They use all that stuff way too much.
That's a good point, especially Star Trek, having redone the original series about 18 times now. Yeah, so that's my overall impression. I liked it. I went first and I said I liked The Well. It was spooky. Warren, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite of the new season so far. I've said before, if there's one thing RTD can do, it's cosmic horror, and he's very good at that. And there's another example of that. And like you said, the whole 2 rooms thing. I didn't check my phone, which is always my test. It's like my phone's right there. Am I touching it? No. Okay, I'm actually properly kind of freaked out about this. I don't think it needed to be connected in any way to Midnight. It's not really bothering me that it was. It's kind of cool a bit, but it didn't. But it did feel, as some people have said, a bit nostalgia baity. It's kind of an unnecessary connection, but it doesn't take me out of it that much either. So it wasn't the end of the world. But this is, and much like Midnight, you can't see it. And at one point, I know they had a guy dressed up to freak people out. And when they're like, I want to see it, and I thought I'd caught a glimpse of something, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to know if I did or I didn't. I think they're doing their job right if I'm catching something off the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
That's a benefit of at least a second viewing.
Yeah.
I didn't approve it or anything, so yeah.
No, I kind of want to, yeah.
I did pause and kind of frame advance, at least the first time that Belinda thinks she sees something. And there's something.
There's like a little blur, and you're like, but they did that very well, because I'm like, did I see that? Which is, they're doing their job, but that's working like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes no sense, and it's kind of spooky and weird, and Yep. Chris, you liked it then? Initial thoughts? Liked it?
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think I'm the only person who may not have liked it.
Really? I thought you were being facetious for a second there, Chris.
When has Chris ever been facetious?
I'll say the same thing about it as I said about Lux. I didn't dislike it. I don't know if I liked it.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
So RTD was is literally basically the first thing that you see on Unleashed. How RTD is talking about how the Midnight had no bearing on the script when he and Sharma first wrote it, but they kind of they didn't like what they came up with, so they added the Midnight angle to it. And I just want to, just because it's fresh in my mind and fresh in the chat, I just want to address some complaints Neil Perriman has been throwing out about the monster and whatnot. And it's like, Neil, it's been 400,000 years. Things change. There's nothing within the story, to my mind, that says it's the same creature in the first place. The behind the scenes stuff, everyone talks about the creature as though, or the entity, whatever, as though it is the same as in Midnight. But yeah, it's a different scenario. It's 400,000 years later, and so I mean, yeah, suck it up, dude.
Damn, it's a little harsh.
Whoa,
sorry. It's just. I mean,
you've been unsubscribed from World of Telly.
I am very happy to be pedantic about things. I'm very happy for other people to be pedantic about things
very
as well.
Out of character.
But only if it's only I don't know. It's just. It's a lack of justification, but not on my part. Anyway, I love you, Neil. But
funny way of showing it, sir.
On the whole, I mean, I don't know. We'll get into details, obviously, but you talked about the pacing, Steve, and the pacing was. I didn't think the pacing was as good as it could be, because you've got 25 minutes of what the hell's going on, and then 20 minutes of it's the Midnight thing, right? And it's just it's a story of two halves that didn't quite mesh. Like I said, I didn't dislike it, but I don't know that I liked it. It's a solid 6, maybe, if I had to. I don't know.
sometimes you know what,
I feel bad saying that because everybody wants to love this, and everybody seems to. Well,
everybody
wanted
to love Lux, and I liked it. So
yeah, I liked it, but there's always like 2 or 3 aspects of RTD episodes. It's like. That's going to stick out for me, isn't it? And, you know, mine this time around was they repeat this. I think when you do this every week where they're going to go, the close, and they do the same run up, and they're going to do this. And
like, don't overdo that. It's fun because you don't do it that much.
Like what?
And also, don't do it to spacesuits. Like, it's cool when they have some flamboyant outfit, but when it's just a spacesuit, well, all right, fine, I guess. Better spacesuits, though.
If the episode is running short and they threw that scene in there, to, you know, pad it out a bit, okay, fine. But it was 40. It's the longest of the 3 so far. So that's not...
Also, you know, playing the what scene are we missing this week? It's an explanation as to why they run into the wardrobe and just happen to put on the same suits that the rest of the crew are wearing.
That seems flawed. Yeah.
No.
My brain.
They knew they knew where they were. They knew when they were. The TARDIS could have that information.
That's what I know that.
I know that.
There's no reason to pick on that.
But the fact that they're basically at the beginning of every episode, because they're trying to do a sort of a running theme, but also think, oh, people haven't watched this before, so we have to explain them. Even though they basically, like, if you were to run this
even though
3
the
episodes
Vindicator was given short shrift.
If you were to run these 3 episodes together in like without opening credits and stuff, they basically happen one after another. So every 43 minutes, the Doctor has to explain to her something we already know because they're in their outfits right at the end of Lux. So we have to find another video because, as you know, we have to like we know this. We literally just talked about this 3 minutes ago in our world, you know, but they're having to repeat it. So the fact that they have to keep repeating that, but don't say, you know, especially in the same episode where she says, do they speak English? And so the TARDIS will translate it. Like, I think there was probably a scene at one point where they probably says, oh, wait, what are we wearing these? Oh, well, let's find out. And then they open the door and that's where it happens. And I think they cut a little bit in between from them running down and like admiring each other in their outfits, you know?
So
that stuck with me for about 5.5 minutes into the episode. They're not going to explain this, are they? No, fine. All right.
They've only done it the 3 times so far. Once last series, twice this series about the whole wardrobe, you know, running up the ramps thing. So because they were in the outfits from last week, they're going to have to do something. Like even if they just say, "Hey, we need a wardrobe change," rather than showing running up the ramp, they still need something in there. So why not that? I'm finding it tedious. I am finding it tedious so far already, but
it's fun if it's sparing.
Yeah, I mean, what would you have said if they cut from the 50s outfits to the spacesuits?
I wouldn't have done the costume change the exact same way as they've done this, like literally from camera move on down.
But you need something.
Oh, sure, do it differently. Do it differently. Otherwise, you know, like now it just feels like insert non-period specific song over them running up the thing and coming out the door with a different costume, and then admiring each other's costumes as they do it. I mean, we've done
about the costumes themselves. First of all, I'm glad to see the back of the orange spacesuit. Fine job, sir, but we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And those spacesuits look great, especially those helmets, the lit-up helmets. Like, they're really well done, I thought.
Yeah. I remember seeing somewhere like some like analysis or something of, because all these sci-fi, I'm looking at it right now on my TV, all these sci-fi films have like the lights in the helmets basically so we can see the actors' faces, but you know, apparently
just like Iron Man with the graphics, just so you can see his face.
Apparently it would be terrible or something if you were actually using it for like in the real world.
You'd be blind.
You'd be blind. You couldn't see 3 feet in front of you.
But it does look cool, and that's the important thing.
It does look cool. That's true.
I mean, it's a film. It doesn't really matter if it works.
Doctor Who's in a quarry though felt right. Felt right. And proper.
That's a nice quarry.
Yeah, even if it was just for a tiny little bit. I feel like I'm just watching this as we go along. I feel like the exterior of that thing was probably just like, you know, stage 8 at Bad Wolf Studios outside or something like that. But
well, they did do it in Unleashed. They are an actual quarry, so I mean.
That's true for like a night or two. Like they didn't spend very long in the quarry, sadly.
So now you're mad that there wasn't enough quarry content.
Not enough quarry action. No,
you're amazing. You're just incredible.
I know. I just
appalling.
Feel like
actually is also.
Well, I feel like,
but he really liked the episode, Warren. Though, so it's okay.
I did. I liked it. And honestly, I mean, this is the one to stay up to 1 a.m. to watch because it was dark everywhere.
I didn't, but yes,
this was definitely served better by watching it at 1 o'clock in the morning and not in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, you know what's weird
the second
though?
Time through.
Yeah, it's it's 1 a.m. for us, 3 a.m. in the East, 8 a.m. in the UK, of course. And so, like, when I'm watching it, like, usually in the past, I'd flip, I'll watch it and I'll look at the phone and the phone's blowing up because there's a whole bunch of, like, stuff on the social medias and stuff. And I open it up now, it's like, no one's talking about it because everyone's either in bed or still in bed,
Oh, yeah,
like,
totally,
It is kind of the dead time of the day to watch Doctor Who, which is kind of depressing. It just
Twitter
feels
used to call that the nighttime crowd.
That's true. I remember those days. Anyway, it takes me back to PBS because Twitter wasn't very much a thing in 1988 either. So
can you imagine if it was? What a nightmare world! Wait a minute, we already do live in a nightmare world. Never mind.
Nightmare world. Yeah.
Hey, we had Records Doctor Who back then,
which is its own version of terrible.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I suppose the more you think about such things, the more you pick holes in it. But
well, then don't. That's why I watched it once.
Yeah, the overall feeling to it, I felt like I mean, Jodie got what cries in every single episode.
Who cares?
I feel like
I have no problem with that.
I feel it comes naturally, especially in this. I think his eyes they just inflate and they just they leak sometimes. And but I felt this was his most doctory performance so far, perhaps because he's been put in. This kind of position. We really haven't seen him in this kind of situation before for him to react to.
The whole, let me just say about the whole crying thing. I see people complaining about it sometimes, and I'm like, you like it or hate it, this was the mission statement from the word go. Like, this is the kind of doctor he is. Like, I has a lot of feelings about stuff, so I'm like, it's just the way he is. It's just like Tennant being the way he is, or Jodie being more compassionate than, say, Capaldi. Like, and Capaldi being kind of a hard ass with a heart of gold. Like, that's just what you're gonna get.
It is, yeah, I know. And it is like it's like he was even tearing up talking about the bond that he had with Rose Ailing Ellis, in learning a little bit of sign language to talk to her. So he's an emotional fellow. He's an emotional
fine.
fellow.
That's fine. The next doctor, whoever that might be, will be different, and we'll like it or we won't.
Yeah, but there are as Neil said in the chat, there's nowhere left to go. Once you start crying at everything, if something really bad happens, then like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Speaking of Twitter, where people would be crying at everything, and now here we are.
That's true. That's very true. No, I enjoyed the feel of it. I enjoyed the suspense of it. Warren has a thing to say.
I have a thing to say. The music. Listening, I was like, okay, this is proper Moody Murray Gold. He's not going over the top.
After that first TARDIS scene, because of course it starts
but I mean, that makes sense. Of course, but that's in the TARDIS, right? But when they're in there and the spooky stuff's happening, I'm like, okay, now this is good job, Murray. Thank you for not going over the top. And then for some reason, it doesn't really bother me all that much because it does kind of fit the mood where everybody's getting thrown around, and that weird music from I think it's Last of the Time Lords, where the crazy, unexplained to this day soothsayer woman is like, Gallifrey falling, Gallifrey falling. Anyway, that's the music they're using, and I'm sure somebody out there is like, well, clearly this is tying in with blah, blah. No, it's not tying in anything. It just they're using music, and it does work in that particular instance. So I did like that the music was properly moody, and it wasn't that over the top crap from last time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Didn't notice the music.
I know.
Well, then
which I don't
then
notice.
Then success.
Fair enough. But I can't help but thinking, okay, fine, Gold is doing Moody and whatever, but that's everything that Akinola did. How much better could it have been if Akinola was still at the helm?
I know.
All the spooky stuff was good too. Like he had good scary music.
I know he did. Whenever take Murray away from the National Orchestra of Wales, and I feel like okay, now we can actually do something. But like when he has I got an orchestra. Well, I can't just have them. I mean, it's a movie. Wave your arms around or something like that.
To be fair to him, when he understands the assignment, like Heaven Sent's a perfect example. There's so much weird crap going on in that. Like there's all sorts of different music, including big triumphant stuff output that should be there. Like something like that. When he nails it, and when he doesn't, he sure doesn't. So.
And there's space for it in Heaven Sent. There's one actor in the whole thing, and there's room for it.
But there's even like old weird 80s type stuff.
Jamie Reed Quarrel is rolling over in his grave.
Anyway, the opening TARDIS scene, just like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this music? Why do we have to? I don't know. But you're right. For the rest of it, it was great.
It was great. Yeah, I agree.
It was great. Okay. Yeah. So Warren and I liked it.
Yeah, production design, it's 2 rooms, but they look cool.
I like it. I mean,
production design was very good. Yeah,
they would have probably somehow done this in like some disused factory back in the olden days, but they they
power plant something.
It
did have that vibe to it.
Yeah, but they create this in a studio nowadays, which I quite like.
One thing that I in watching Unleashed and learning about it, I really like that they have the computer controlled wire rigs, so they can like a motion control camera, they can just program the thing, and every stunt wire thing is identical, human notwithstanding, is identical to every other one. So so whether it's blocking, whether it's cameras, whether it's direction, whether it's whatever, you can get that consistency.
It's also compositing it out too, which is not, that's one of the first things they tried to figure out with CGI back in the day, was getting rid of wires, or vanishing. So it's an art now. It doesn't you're never going to see wires anymore because of that.
It's so much. Every time I look at like when they hook them up to wires and stuff, every time I see that, it's like removing wires is one thing, but like what about the slight tug on their outfit? Their clothing where it's attached.
Well, that's more like how you shoot it, right? So
I suppose. Yeah,
and it's a physical effect. So that you're just gonna accept that.
And you can paint out that tug. It's just like you're painting out the wire
if they bother. I mean,
if they bother.
Important stuff.
Or you just hide it by where the camera is positioned.
That's true.
Like it's really not hard
which
to work around.
Which is a 120-year-old way to do things.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, the best tricks, the old tricks are the best tricks.
Yep. I liked Rose Ayling-Ellis as Alice Fenley. I thought she was really great.
She was amazing.
The cool thing is you're like, what, is she hiding something? And you're like, you're not entirely sure until yes, she is, but you can see why. Like, she's still a sympathetic character, even though she's not being entirely forthright with them. So that's kind of cool.
That's true. She's sort of like, by the end of it, she finally says, "Oh, okay, there's something behind me." But she's, you're right. She's kind of like not devious.
No, she's just terrified. So
terrified. She plays it very well. The whole thing.
Also, all the presumably CG screens floating there. Those are great too.
Yeah. Those are kind of cool. You should have those in bars and stuff, like really loud nightclubs. You just like switch it on.
Well, it'd be like that scene in Trainspotting where they have subtitles, which everybody who's ever been to a club, especially in the 90s, is like, oh yeah, we need this.
Oh, I haven't seen Trainspotting in
neither have I.
I don't think Chris has ever seen it. So
no, he hates that kind of film and that kind of music especially.
Hates Trainspotting.
Well, I spent
constantly
$50 on a stupid 4K Criteria on Blu-ray.
The thing is, you hate 4K and you love 4K.
I hate when things aren't in 4K, but they should be.
And they should be cheap, is what Chris is also saying.
Cheap would be a bonus. Yes.
Yeah, it's easy to make things 4K. You just go into Premiere and you go in there, and then you say change frame rates to 4K, and then it's done. I don't
listen, as somebody who's had to deal with some 4K and some 2K stuff that I had to composite together in Premiere, it ain't that easy.
Why isn't my 1964 Doctor Who in 4K? Like, come on.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. How come this isn't in 4K?
Why isn't everything exactly the way I want it all the time?
I know.
No, I'm not entitled.
Dumb. So dumb. What else about this?
Blowing through everything here. So you talk about Rose Ayling-Ellis.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. There's no way in hell I'm going to pronounce her name, but she played the leader of the troopers was also.
She was really good too. Yeah.
She was
all the troopers were
phenomenal.
good. I thought. Yeah. Yeah, especially the one, her like second in command guy, who's just a total like martinet in this, and then you see him in Unleashed, and he seems like a really awesome dude, like a really friendly guy, but he's playing the martinet very well.
It's amazing.
Well, I know, but but he does a very good job of playing a real, hard-hearted fellow.
I did see somebody complain about how he was too whatever. Like he was too on the nose or something.
No.
It's like, okay, no, we're wrong. He was that's the foil. That's the foil character.
And you want a guy in a crisis situation who acts like that. That's how stuff gets fixed.
You can get a lot more conflict between him and the leader than if he was like always in agreement with her. Because he takes the whole hope is irrelevant thing, throws it back in her face, nuke it from orbit. One of
which
the
is from Aliens, apparently.
Yes,
it's probably from several things.
The best Alien film, putting it out there.
There we go. Casio and the clock motif. Oh yeah. And then one thing.
I was thinking Casio keyboards from the clocks, but that's just me.
But one of the notes I had about him that I'm just going to throw out there at this point in time was how. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to find it so I can get my actual wording here. Sorry.
Oh sure. No.
Christopher Chung's character purposefully turned on his speech screen thing to say "shoot to kill," so Alice would see him saying that.
Because he's a jerk.
Because he wanted to make sure that she knew that, don't step out of line kind of thing.
I mean,
which was very much within the
it's consistent with his character.
Yeah.
Right. Kilveen, apparently, according to Shannon Patrick. Kilveen Dunn.
It's a very, very, very Irish name.
It's an Irish name, to be sure. Yeah. But she was great. She was
from
great.
the Earth that no longer exists.
That's true. Yeah, that's something that they're clearly building to and hammering over the head.
Which puzzles me since they're on Earth with Ruby next week. So I don't know do they go to the
back in
past,
time,
or is it just a Dr. Light episode, or what's
several
going on here?
several 100,000 years in the future, Earth apparently is gone.
But they also can't land on that specific day. So how are they getting around this? Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, next week looks to be
I'll find out.
Basically, a Ruby Light, Dr. Light episode.
I think so. Yeah,
Doctor Who in flashback form. I probably a Belinda Light episode. I bet you she's in that.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. I mean,
other than some connective tissue, perhaps. I imagine we'll probably learn about Vindicators all over again at some point.
They'll run through they'll change into costume and they'll just stand by the door, and then they'll go to Ruby, whatever she's doing.
Wait, we'll change into their episode 5 costume. Just all right, let's ready. What song do you want to listen to that's from Doctor Who's past? I don't know. How about "Oh Well" by Fleetwood Mac? Let's listen to that one. And they run up the stairs and come back. Anyway.
Next week we'll also have Unit and Mel. So who knows?
Right,
maybe we'll get some setup. Maybe we'll get some setup for the War Between.
Oh, I bet you there is. Written by Pete McTighe, after all. So.
Is the next week's Pete McTighe?
It's Pete
Lucky Day is his? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So it could be. You never know.
Pete McTighe's official entry into the miniscope next week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The most important thing.
Sure, he's overjoyed by that. So.
Mini what? Oh, hell.
I know. I take my name off the credits. Oh, rats. No more talk for you.
So if we're talking about those other actors, the actor who played Mo, I just want to throw out
she was good.
There wasn't a bad
giant thumbs up there as well.
Usually there's somebody in the crew you're like, this guy, but no, all these guys are great. They're all really good.
They were
guys being non-gendered.
Yeah, they weren't just sort of, they weren't like plot scenery, basically. There to sort of like say the right line at the right time just to move the plot along. They felt like, genuine sort of real people and stuff.
And then they all got killed. So
they all got killed, rather tragically. Yep. I liked them. I like Verita Sethu in this. I thought she was really good.
A nurse who doesn't know sign language, that's illegal. It's a pretty good line.
I know. I feel like, that was a little on the nose. Well, it's against the law. It's like,
it's 400,000 years later. Why not?
I suppose, but literally no one else in this, sure, medical staff, but the fact that if you can make it a law for people not to, also British sign, so English language and maybe British sign language.
Well, there's never been a time in history when Britain took over the world and forced their views upon everybody.
The TARDIS translates, Stephen.
Yeah, it doesn't translate. It obviously translate audio language, but not visual languages like British Sign Language.
How do you know?
Because no one knew what she was saying unless they had the thing on their thing.
No,
I'm just
quite wrong, but okay.
I'm watching this play out.
What else? What else you got? You got some notes there, Chris.
I got some notes. I don't know if we're there yet for them, but I mean, I do have a handful.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, as talking points, notes as talking points. That's what I like to call
them. Yeah, that's the part of the point of doing them.
It's hard to talk about stuff you like, honestly.
It is.
Except for Chris, you're a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to hear his views.
Positive on the whole. But yeah, going into this, I was kind of worried about how long of a conversation we'd be able to hold on this, just because there are a lot of positive aspects to it. for sure.
Like we're not even at the halfway point. I pressed play on this as we started talking about it.
Yeah,
so like 22 minutes in.
And as Warren says, it's definitely harder to talk about stuff that we do like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump in with both feet and say this is maybe me reading too much into things. Probably is.
I don't even know what you're saying, but it is. Yeah.
The return of Toxic is a nice callback to long, long ago. The end of the world was much, much further in the future. But at this point, we're led to infer that the Earth is gone, making the time less important than the parallel self of the end of the world.
I bet you there's probably a tie-in. The way they played it, almost like okay, we're gonna run out of our license for this in 3 weeks, so we got to use it. It's kind of like Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, except Britney Spears is toxic. We had to use it.
I mean, part of it is like when we go back to the Toy Maker episode. I know. But RTD makes a point in Unleashed of talking about how much he thinks pop music in and of itself is important to have in these things, and it actually says something more. So, and that I don't really care. I don't really care.
I just want your answer just to throw it back in your face in 3 weeks' time. So.
Oh God! You know what? Whatever. Go ahead, because I'll be too busy stewing in my own hatred to even listen. But I'm just saying, and I don't particularly care one way or the other. If the Toxic plays, it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really engage me. But RTD loves himself some pop music and says it can actually evoke feelings in a way that just putting more into it can't. And he's not entirely wrong about that. I don't know if that applies here. But he just loves pop music, so of course he's going to throw in something like Toxic. He specifically loves all that old Britney Spears stuff, so I'm not surprised it's there.
His use of the Scissor Sisters was much more on point back in the day, I think, but yes.
I mean, I'm not a pop music enjoyer the way he is, but whatever, it's his show. And if it works, it works. It definitely worked better in End of the World.
Toxic?
Yeah. Or is that the other one I'm thinking of?
It was more. There's more context to it.
It was also more of a surprise, right? Because we'd never really seen anything like that at that point in Doctor Who. I know. So.
Somebody in the chat mentioned that the jukebox prop in the TARDIS is the same one that was used in the End of the World. I haven't looked closely enough to compare them, but
it's a Wurlitzer in the TARDIS.
But if that's true, then
I've always loved the name Wurlitzer.
I know they make electric pianos too. I'm a fan of the Fender Rhodes myself, but that is just a thing. Toxic, by the way, 21 years old now.
Wow.
Hey, it can drink in the States.
It can drink in the States.
And get recruited for the military to eventually invade Canada.
That's 18.
Yeah. Next point, Chris, on your list.
I liked the continuity taken from Midnight. So Planet 6767 has galvanic radiation. In Midnight, it's extonic radiation from its sun. Galvanic radiation also comes from the planet's sun, which is now a collapsed gray star.
How's anybody alive?
Which used to be
really cold.
Which used to be an extonic star. So hey, maybe the radiation type shifted when the star went collapse. Yeah.
400,000 years time. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that was a nice precursor, a nice little breadcrumb to get you to the Midnight thing. If you
Neil Perryman says nerd.
You're a nerd, Chris.
He's right.
You're a nerd for pointing that out.
And Neil, you have a PhD, or we're getting a PhD in Doctor Who. So glass houses.
Hey, that's what I call a cool guy. So come on.
Yeah. Me too.
And thickness of semiotic texts. Yeah.
That's more an Eric Stadnik thing because he's got the philosophy degree.
All right, nerds, that's enough. Go on.
Anyway,
that's enough. Talk about the camera moves. Blah.
Yeah. Okay, I will. No. I will. The fourth wall breaking point of view thing. The Doctor and Belinda talking, and the troopers when they're first talking on the planet's surface, in the psychic paper scene. I like that. That was good. I mean,
was it fourth wall breaking? What do you mean fourth wall breaking?
Because they're staring right at the camera.
Well, that's not really a fourth wall break. That's
not a fourth wall breaking, but it's not a typical.
No, Jonathan Demme did it
It's not a typical shot you would use.
Jonathan Demme did it to put you off balance. Like if you watch the scenes between Lecter and Clarice Starling, they do it that way, right? Just kind of back and forth, right to camera, and it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not something you see all the time, and I thought it worked really, really well. Carbon 46 is nonsense. The chemical formula for diamond is C because it's just carbon.
Damn, nerd.
Wow.
Carbon 46. As much as extonic radiation, whatever, is a breadcrumb, that's a bit of a red herring, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. You know what? Just on the topic of the fourth wall breaking, I thought, since I'm not necessarily a fan of it and how much they've been doing it this season, but I felt they could have milked it a little bit at the end, where instead of having the one crew member who stayed up and talking to Mo, and saying, "Ooh, something going." I kind of would have been interesting if she sort of like did a report, saw the TARDIS leave and stuff, and sort of turned around and walked off, and then we, the viewer, see something behind, and like, oh, wait a minute, are we now watching this? Are we in this universe? And all of a sudden, it might be behind us, kind of thing, I thought that would have been a clever little thing, but that is not what happened.
I thought you were going to talk about Mrs. Flood
Later, we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll
She's
get
at
there.
the end. She's at the end.
because you're saying things you're getting sick of. So I immediately thought Mrs. Flood.
Do you want to bring her up now?
No, but whatever. If you want to, sure.
We can. Yeah.
Let's do it.
So yeah.
She didn't even know me that much.
No,
because
really,
sad confession time. I saw her in her outfit, and I'm like, "Are those early Gallifreyan robes?" And then I said, "You should be ashamed of yourself." To myself.
I think she's wearing whatever commander outfit she's
exactly.
wearing.
But at first, I was like, "Those look like War Games robes." Oh no!
So in series 1, she was Ruby's neighbor. We saw her occasionally, but she was Ruby's neighbor,
right?
Next house down or 2 houses down, whatever it was. This is Susan Twist v 2.0, and why do we have this?
I know what you mean, Chris, and there are some things that are occurring, like they're running up and changing costume scenes, like the midnight throwbacks, like let's just do Susan Twist again, like Toxic being used again. I mean, there are a lot of there's a lot of rhyming going on.
There will be a payoff, but the question is, will the payoff be worth it? And I have my doubts.
Let's
see.
Hope there's a payoff.
Is there going to be another Susan technology thing around there? Is there going to be another anagram? Is the Doctor going to look shocked and watch the letters rearrange and go, "Oh my God, it says Omega. I can't believe it."
Please surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
Are we going to have Mrs. Flood's first name announced, and that'll be the anagram?
Ronnie Flood.
Ronnie Flood.
Rain Flood.
Speaking of the Ronnie, I just want to point this out. I mean, we're all waiting for the Ronnie to come back, of course.
Not really.
But remember Archie Punjabi, the actor who was in like The Good Wife and stuff, and it was announced that she's going to be in Doctor Who, and they had a big press thing and all this.
Oh yeah.
She's nowhere in any of the
so
trailer footage at all. Wasn't in there.
She's in 7 and 8.
Maybe I don't know where she is. No one knows. No one knows. Haven't seen her in a character, so she's obviously the Ronnie.
Sure. What I love about the Ronnie is that people are obsessed for some reason, and she's in 2 middling episodes.
Yeah, maybe she's Cesare of Diplos.
3.
I think we should
have
Cesare of
Warren.
Diplos should come.
Wait a minute,
back.
hold on, help a brother out here. She's
Dimensions in Time.
Oh, come on, no. So she's I'm docking 1 off just because you mentioned Dimensions in Time. Diamond the Ronnie no longer canon, thanks to you, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't consider it canon personally, but Neil in the chat saying, "I'm hoping she's Susan out for revenge." I mean,
sure, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, Susan's got plenty of reasons to be revengeful. Let's be honest.
Like you left me with 1 shoe, and that's like the 3rd worst thing you did here.
Good speech, but go to hell.
Yeah,
there's been enough chatter since Capaldi entered the TARDIS about Susan that you never know, maybe it'll happen one day.
Or here's I mean, I've never made this conclusion before. Maybe nerds should just shut up and stop overly speculating on everything.
Yeah,
that's what this
not going to happen.
We're 1,012
I know.
Can't do that.
I know I'm a hypocrite, and it's ironic as hell, but
yeah.
But yes, I'm not getting tired of Mrs. Flood as much as I'm getting tired of Mrs. Flood now being Susan Triad.
Yes. Yeah, that is definitely that thing.
I'm just getting generally tired of her. Like, please.
Well, now it's just a gimmick. That's the thing. It's kind of just a gimmick. And as we were getting close to the end, like I'd forgotten that she wasn't in it yet. And then once we saw that Mo was talking to someone, like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be Susan Twist. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. That's going to be Mrs. Flood on the other end of this, and it was. I imagine we'll probably see Susan Twist employed by Unit next week.
Maybe.
Too.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. Giving the strenuous Unit hiring policy of you once worked with the Doctor and showed up during a day of crisis, so let's get you sorted.
She did say that she's in Series 2 someplace. So
that's true.
The actress.
She'll be there.
That would make the most sense story-wise, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like how Susan Twist is the actor, but the fact that the character is,
Susan Triad.
Yeah. Susan Triad.
Well, it's just easier to remember for some reason.
It is, because it's a twist that she was in it, of course.
That's a cooler name than Triad.
There's always a twist at the end, Stephen.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. What's your next point, Grant?
So I saw I read an article on Radio Times this morning. Doctor Who: The Well ending explained. So they talk about
ending explained. All right.
So they talk about.
I love those.
By some gormless thumbnail.
It talks about what might have happened at the end there.
What might have happened.
Okay. As far as, the entity being tied to Belinda and then to the leader and whatever. And how did it escape the planet and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Right away at the start, when they go through the airlock, there's the little information panel for the airlock that says maximum 6, and there's 6 little heads and shoulders.
Yeah.
Because it has 6 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, there's 2 troopers and 2 troopers in rows in the thing, and 4 little heads and shoulders on the thing.
Interesting.
So the entity was in the airlock.
Oh.
Registered by the airlock. Nobody noticed. This article in the Radio Times didn't even mention this.
Mm-hmm. I didn't.
So I'm like, wow,
right, that's fair.
Don't do any research. Why don't you?
Yeah. Oh, damn. This went from an interesting thing to Chris on the warpath.
So at any rate, another signpost that, as to what is happening. Sorry. I have a dry throat here.
Choking on my own rage here.
Choking on my own rage. That's right. Something like that. So anyway, it's another little breadcrumb as to what's going on in the story. That's it's. I'll grant it's blink and you'll miss it, but it's there.
That's one thing I liked about the very end, where she gives her the look like, "But are you?" Like I thought that was kind of cool. A little subtle glance at the very end.
Right. Yeah, I know. Once it cuts to black, and then we hear the whispering. We don't hear it when Shaya is Shaya. The character, the leader of the troops who runs off and jumps into the well. She never hears. We never hear her hearing the whispering.
Yeah. Whereas we do with Ruby. Yeah. Or not Ruby, with Belinda.
Yeah, Belinda. Yeah, and indeed with Mo potentially after. By the way, very last shot of the episode. I love that it cuts to black with the cliffhanger scream, and then we get the next time trailer, as opposed to.
But it's cut to black, whispering.
Yes, and then it goes. I think. I mean, I think the Moffat era often cut to black at the end of an episode, and then went right to the next time trailer. This is just me getting into the. I think that RTD episodes end too abruptly, and the cliffhanger scream comes in halfway through a bit of dialogue, and then we're instantly into the closing credits, and it just ruins the effect. And this is actually the last shot of the episode was effective. There we go. Yeah. And
as brought up in the chat, the entity either split or there's multiple of them. Yeah. Why not? There could absolutely be. Again, it just goes back to what I was saying before about, it's been 400,000 years. The behavior in Midnight was different from the behavior in the Well. Why couldn't it be different things?
What works in both
Why couldn't there be more than one?
In Midnight and this is that you have no damn clue what's going on. And it stays that way. That's the way it should be. The less you know, the better.
I agree.
It's not in my notes, but it just came to my mind. So the whole scene where she shoots the pipes and the mercury comes water falling down and all kind of stuff.
That's
any thoughts on the whole? What if the thing behind the thing is the thing? Any thoughts on that? As a
what if the thing behind the thing? What if the mercury was the actual thing?
No, not the mercury. So the entity is behind Rose. Right. But what if something behind the entity? Because the doctor's trying to get rid of the entity by having it see itself or whatever.
Something.
To be behind itself, to kill itself, whatever it's trying to.
It's a confusing phrasing, frankly.
Kind of.
I
needed Belinda to put little bolts on the ground and explain that to me.
Yeah, exactly. That was a little too simplistic.
But do we think there's anything to that as a plot resolution? Or
my main thought is you're letting pure mercury fall out of pipes. First of all, that's very dangerous. Also, you should all be dead. What's going on here?
Yeah.
A mercury coming out of a thermometer would kill you. And this flood of mercury.
They're not drinking it.
It just seemed a little iffy to me, but anyway.
Also, getting the monster to look at its own reflection is a little bit like the Weeping Angels there, I think.
I hadn't thought of that, yeah.
There's a monster at the end of the book as you grow over.
Classic book. Classic. I've still got it. In fact,
You have the monster at the end of the book?
I have it, but I also have Grover over here. You can't really see him, but he's over here hanging my door next to Janice from the Muppets.
Yeah. You mentioned the angels. For me, there's like way more than midnight. I kept thinking of turn left. There's something on your back, or there's something behind you in this one.
Yeah, it's another repeated trope. Yeah.
Oh, there's Grover.
Showing on the live stream here.
Or more. I was thinking more of like Silence in the Library with Avashta Narada in the shadows and not seeing them, or kind of thing.
Yeah. Basically, Russell T Davies covering Stephen Moffat in a way. Like,
well, Midnight came first, so is it?
Yeah. The great thing about Moffat is that he gets on the socials and like praises this episode up and down. They get Blink, your long day is over. This is the best episode ever. That's awful kind of you.
I wouldn't go that far, but I quite liked it, so I'm not crap talking it here.
Unlike the last two episodes, there's no overt Blink reference in this one. Maybe your angel's
apart from
maybe your angel's supposition is that.
Yeah. That's the real running gag, is that everything's. I mean, notice how many people have been blinking that episode.
Think about it.
Think about that.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines from the story. It's not appropriate to call me babes. Okay, hun.
Yeah.
She's right, though. It isn't.
Yeah.
He.
Yeah. That's
John's
character did that. Yeah. Yep.
I just assumed Linda would say it because she's not putting up with this nonsense.
No. It was Doctor Who.
I'm sure you're right.
The doctor says it to Cassio. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cassio keyboard.
I larfed. Mm-hmm. Given health and safety concerns these days, in 400,000 years into the future, surely they'd have like a barrier around the well. Like, is this how is this Death Star-y, Star Wars?
I was gonna say Star Wars, right. The death trap that is Star Wars.
Pit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's there to serve the plot, obviously, but
it's a well. I don't know. I didn't think too much about it.
Also, Star Wars has the defense of being from the 1970s, where nothing was safe. So.
Nothing was safe, and it made us better. It made us better.
Given today's health and safety, gone mad, as some might say.
It's nanny state, okay.
Yeah,
which I'm happy to live in, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I never thought that much about it. It was more effective if there wasn't a railing over it. Just saying.
No Earth, no OSHA.
You know what it needed? It needed an old school CSO falling down the well. Like just clearly CSO.
Just a little 2D paper, paper
like in
version.
Hand of Fear with Eldrad falling down.
That's true. Yep. Or a Vord, a cutout of a Vord being thrown into a tank of water.
Trip ever.
Yep. Yep.
I did laugh at Shea asking for the index file to be retrieved.
I remember that
index. I missed that too. Index.
It's in the scene when they're looking at like just before the corrupt video footage of the base commander,
and then he uncorrupted it with a sonic screwdriver, which that seemed a little too pat to me, but okay.
Yeah,
hey, magic, as he says.
Yeah, that shot in the airlock just happened up on here, and you're right. That was super quick, seeing the 6 people in the airlock. And I admit I lost count to how many people there were left alive in this episode when they went into the airlock. I have to admit. So, but there's 7 of us. That's right, and it said there's 7 of us, and 3 of them got in there, and there were 6 people in the airlock. That's 3 people. That's 3 monsters. Then
no, it was 4 people in the airlock. It was 6 at the start when they first came into the.
But at the end, there's 7 left. There's 7 of us left.
Yeah, and 3 of them go into the airlock, and there's 4 little heads on the display.
There were 6. I'm going to go back.
We can all agree there are 4 lights.
There were 4. There were 4 lights.
I'm going to look. There were 5 lights, I think you'll find. I think you will find. I'm telling you. Are you sure?
I saw it on first viewing, and I made sure to freeze frame at second viewing. It's 4.
I trust Chris.
I can be very sure of that.
I saw 4. There's 4 there. As 4 there, but then I'm just looking. I'm still looking. I'm still watching the sequence again. They fall into the ground.
Riveting radio.
It's not true until Steven sees it.
It's there were 4 initially. I thought perhaps even they looked up and it was 6, but I'm just looking there. There's 4, still 4. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's still 4. It's still 4. Can confirm. Still 4. Still 4. Probably still going to be 4. I was probably wrong.
It is
I just turned away when they looked at it. I got to rewind 10 seconds. We got to fill for 9, 8, 7, 6 more seconds while I find out to see if it was actually 4.
Incredible.
I'm staring at it. Oh my God! I swear that was 6.
Warren, tell me again how much you're looking forward to the Interstellar Song Contest.
I'm not at all.
Oh my God! Can we?
I've never outright hated an episode of Doctor Who, I don't think.
Without seeing it.
Interstellar Song Contest. I mean, on the other hand, I've given it such a low bar to clear that if I might actually end up enjoying it. We'll see.
Yeah.
But with 4 Murray Gold songs, I have my doubts.
Yeah.
Is the musical episode of Strange New Worlds still the only one you haven't watched?
Never seen it.
Yeah.
Never seen. Well, there's big swaths of Voyager and Enterprise I've never seen, and I don't really have the gumption to watch them. So it's not the only thing, but it's the only Strange New Worlds I haven't seen, and I'm going to keep it that way.
It was 4. What's next on your list, Chris? Sorry.
Yeah. Why are we delaying everything?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, hey, nothing wrong with being proven right.
The last shot of it, it was very quick before it switched over, and I saw the maximum 6, and that's what like was in the last thing. But then in other shots previously in the scene, it was 4. So you are right, Chris. Carry on.
Where are we here? Belinda asks Alice if she's ever heard of humans. Alice replies, "I've never heard of you," as though she knows something more. Belinda hasn't identified as human specifically at that point. She's only asked about humans in general. So I don't know. So like is the creature supposed to maybe feeding Rose information, but she can't hear the creature, so that can't be an explanation.
No, I don't think that's it.
So I know it's probably just Rose just drawing conclusions.
I think so.
Without not necessarily with foundation, but it stuck out. There's at least the one instance, but at times Alice's back is to other people, like when she spins around. Yeah. Earlier on in the story, so when she spins around after the second time, Belinda sees something. But she spins around, people are behind her without people dying. But when they do die, they are directly behind her. At least in some camera shots, like for Cassio, like completely obscured by her. And then they die. But so there's some inconsistency there, which I don't know. So it might only be the one time, but it's still, I don't know, threw me off.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean. I know, like does the creature like stay there, and if she turns, what are you doing? What are you trying to do?
This is kind of like the commitment to the bit in Midnight was that much more, right? And it's more of an acting and sound design thing, and I honestly think Midnight's better than this. I like this. I think Midnight is better thought out than this was, because it has to be, or it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Midnight has the chance to develop and breathe that I didn't feel was present here,
because of the way it is, right?
So, like I was saying before, it's around the 25-minute mark when the Doctor realizes that the planet used to be called Midnight, and so it's definitely a story of two halves. That Midnight was a little more.
Well, it's a two-hander, essentially. Yeah.
Midnight was a little more of the same thing throughout, and then again just had.
But it really works.
Had a chance to breathe and develop this one just didn't quite have.
I mean, this is why I don't think tying it into Midnight is all that necessary. It could have just been some weird creature that's behind her. It didn't have to have the Midnight bit.
Yeah, it's not the first time that RTD has sort of like leapt to a conclusion that people are going to, draw this. So let's just come, make the connection before they have the chance to.
They're going to anyway. So just it didn't kill it for me, but it's fine, whatever. But I don't think it's not necessary.
One of my favorite things from a somewhat ironic perspective is at the start of Unleashed, RTD is like, Midnight is a story that doesn't need a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's make a sequel.
Let's make a sequel. Let's just
many of them
it.
don't.
Yeah.
Many, many, many things don't need sequels.
Yeah. Raiders of the Lost Ark, let's face it.
How dare you?
I would worry that if the as was kind of just said, if the Midnight stuff wasn't overt and explicit in this, people would still make that comparison.
Yeah, they would.
And so is it maybe better that it be the continuation of
I don't know
Midnight, or be on the same planet or whatever?
I don't think this is pandering to fans, but getting in front of fans. Fans should not be in the equation at all, as far as I'm concerned. Make the show, and then the fans can like it or they don't. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's the one thing that gets the Doctor from that one room to the other. Otherwise, he would no reason to go. Let's go back and see how they're doing. I think it would have stuck in that well.
And he runs from one to the other.
He runs from one to the other. It increases the intensity without like, I don't know what would have done it other than maybe having everyone die and the Doctor and co hearing that and running back then. But, you know, apart from that, you're right. It's that one little connection. You're right. It is kind of like nostalgia thing, like, oh. And I'm glad that, you know, there was still, I mean, can you imagine being a brand new viewer to this and all of a sudden, like, why are these slightly dodgy shots of David Tennant and this other actor just looking?
Why are they talking about what the hell's midnight? What is midnight? I have no idea.
What is this? Like, it's, you know, it's I don't know. I don't need visual flashbacks of an episode from 17 years ago.
Those are there for those same new viewers, right?
Are they though? Like that? I would have felt that probably did more to confuse
yes,
than anything.
They do, but also it's not for hardcores like us who know every single second of this stuff. So
Midnight, when it was shot, was also shot in SD. So there's the grain and the
it's definitely shot in SD because they got a lot of glow happening.
The picture quality difference between this and when they cut flashback to Midnight is quite stark.
You can almost see the BBC iPlayer logo in the top left corner there, you know.
But just like when they would show all the old Hartnell stuff with the toy maker and then Michael Gow and it's just all twisty and stuff. Sorry, I can never get it right. It's not an episode without me mispronouncing something.
So as just mentioned in the chat here, so in the live stream chat, they could have been the invisible beings from Listen, except that's not from RTD1. So I mean,
therefore we can't reference it. Yeah.
No, it's I mean, so I think the point is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in the chat. The point being that this could have been what it was without the Midnight thing, still been its own thing. Still been enjoyed because Listen's still bloody amazing.
Well, and it also hinges on maybe they're nothing at all. Maybe it's just nuts. Like that's what's great about Listen is you don't know there's actually anything there at all.
So
yeah.
But that. Okay. What do I got here?
Next on your list.
Yeah. Well, okay, we got that kind of. Despite having seen Midnight countless times, even after the reveal of the planet's name, or before, the story never felt like Midnight was required viewing, but having seen it enhances the viewing experience.
Half enhanced.
To a point.
Yeah.
Because if you can buy into that continuity, which I can explain it, but I don't know if I buy into it.
Right.
Then having seen Midnight is going to help you on that front.
It doesn't, like I said, it didn't keep me from enjoying it. It's just, it's like the cherry on the cupcake that I went, I don't need this. Put over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't like cherries either myself, but anyway, carry on. What do you got? How many more things on your list here?
Just a few.
Okay.
Like 3. When Hanno dies / is thrown, she's completely obscured by Alice and at the 12 o'clock position. So they cover this off in Unleashed to a point with the whole clock motif, which I really enjoyed. I really, really, really enjoyed that because especially with the overhead camera.
Well, you know what? I mean, that kind of made the. Is this why the planet's called Midnight? Is because the creature kills someone by standing where a clock would be?
It's RTD taking things too bloody far.
Oh, I know that.
But I liked
that's what I mean. That's the thing. That's the thing. Let's face it. RTD, especially RTT2 era, is totally based on vibes. And if you're with the vibes, you like the episode.
It's a bit more obvious, but you might as well. Yeah.
You're right. You know, they aren't as well thought out, I don't think, and I don't think he cares. I don't think he doesn't. That's not the show. That's not the type of writer he is. He doesn't care about details. He cares about feelings and vibes,
which sometimes works great.
And sometimes,
at the risk of sounding like we're ragging on him, which I mean we kind of are, but at the risk of sounding like we're ragging on him, like we're much less merciless than we were back in the day.
Well,
but
you specifically,
if you look,
but yeah,
sure. But if you look at even Moffat, look at season 5 versus season 10. The amount of effort, and it's kind of going back to one of your favorite sayings, Stephen, about how you've got your whole life to write your first album and the second
album syndrome. Yeah.
Moffat's writing quality definitely went down between 5 and 10, but we still have in 9 we still have some bloody amazing stuff like Heaven Sent Hellbent,
which was going to be Moffat's last season. This is you got to come back and do one more.
Crap. Well, this is an exhausting position to be in. So
hugely exhausting. I can't imagine.
Like RTD's vibes-based entertainment is still better than 90% of their stuff I'm going to watch on TV.
I suppose so. Yeah.
But anyway, I liked that they did the midnight 12 o'clock overhead camera clock thing. It worked. It
did hammer the point.
It worked for me.
It did, yeah.
But like I say, it is RTD going a little too far. But
a little bit.
So the character of Alice was originally not supposed to be deaf, but especially the aspect of her not being able to hear the whispers from the entity worked really, really well. So the fact that they made it a deaf character works really well within the confines of the story.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah,
yeah, and it wasn't written to be a deaf character, but once they cast Roseanne Ellis, they made it, and the twist being that the reason that she didn't, wasn't driven mad essentially because he didn't hear the whispering in her ear because he couldn't hear it at all. I thought it was a good little touch. I thought.
Yeah, it was a great. Well, you said the word twist. Yeah, it was a great twist on the story because that is an overt change that had to be made, or that was made. It didn't have to be, but it was made. And then the last thing I've got is something you already brought up: the fade to black, and then Mo hears the whispering, and then Finn. Great, loved it. Great little stamp on the end.
Yep. Classic horror movie kind of like,
still,
we beat the monster. Or did we?
Nah. But you can do that badly and you can do that well. And this was done well, I thought.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
it's not the hand coming out of the ground as some generic horror movie.
No, true. And it's not like, I mean, as much as we praise Blink as a fan community, the ending of Blink, Don't Even Blink with various shots of statues.
That was, you can blame Moffat for that one. That's way over the top vibes.
It feels a little over egging the pudding in retrospect.
That's the one thing I don't like about Blink is that last bit where it's like, oh, they're all, okay, I got it. Thanks, but no thanks. I think statues. I said that at the time, too.
Yeah. 18 years ago, which is what Blink is now. Can you believe that? 18 damn years.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yes, it is too.
Yeah, it's like the Nightmare of Eden, referencing the Keys of Marinus.
All I've got to do is look over here at the dollies and go, man, that's a lot more dollies. So if you're going by dolly chronology, then yes.
Dollynology.
Yeah.
Dollynology, yes.
But summing up, I greatly enjoyed it. I feel like a 45 to 49 minute episode, sometimes you kind of do have to paper over some cracks, which I'm not necessarily a fan of.
That's TV, man.
I guess so. I guess if you're doing standalone TV shows, people often say that, a 45-minute modern day episode is just like a 4-parts Doctor. No, it really isn't. I think
it's not an exercise in tedium as some of those are.
Yeah, I think
from hitting the major points of the storyline, it can be.
There's points, but there's no.
But there's and it's not just the 45-minute episode; it's the 8-episode season.
Yeah.
This is so vastly different from old Doctor Who. It's not even worth comparing. Really.
You don't have that breathing room that you did once upon a time.
Nothing wrong with old Doctor Who either. It's great, but it's its own thing.
Or even in the Chibnall era, where the episodes were generally 50 minutes, like that extra few minutes can give you a lot of added value. It can also be padding and pointless, but.
Yeah, it can. It's why I said this last week or 2 weeks ago. It's why I'm kind of past the pre-credit sequence. I feel like they are often like we're rushing in those opening 3 to 4 minutes to lay the groundwork of the story. And I feel like that's where all the papering over is being done. It's like, we got to get those people on the planet, so let's do it the pre-title sequence, so they can fall to earth as the credits kick in. And that's the part I think that we lose. Basically, they're cramming in episode 1 into 2.5 minutes of a 4-part story, and I just think that's a little too quick for me. I think establishing the menace of the thing would be better for me.
So one thing we didn't see before and haven't seen since is when Chibnall would just omit the opening credits altogether.
Yeah,
do you prefer that?
You know what? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I feel like we're just doing a pre-credit sequence just for the sake of a pre-credit sequence.
I think it depends on the episode.
It does. I'm just trying to think here. Lux, I suppose, is the guy coming up, but we've seen the trailer, so I guess we're all kind of waiting for that. Nothing is surprising in the pre-title sequence at all. I think it's stuff that we're kind of expecting to see. There's no real twist to it.
It's just I don't recall RTD1 doing that. He always had some sort of freaky nonsense happening leading into the opening credits. I could be misremembering that, but
yeah, I'd have to think about all the various pre-title sequence over the years. Some of the Moffat ones, what isn't was it Pandorica Opens? This is like 7 or 8 minutes or something like that. Pre-title sequence. Like
that's just screwing around with us, basically.
Yeah, but it is setting the stage for the rest of the episode, But it gets more stuff done in it. But anyway,
I'm getting word from the chat that 73 Yards had no opening credits.
Didn't have opening credits at all. That's right.
Which makes sense given what's going on.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. 73 Yards, the story I wanted to like a lot more than I did, but
that's, as my dad would say, old puke.
Gross.
That's my dad's term for going on about stuff that you don't need to go on about anymore.
Yeah. We don't talk about stats here, but I do want to point something out that Chris shared with us in our little private chat earlier this week, where like there was a big Variety article that Yellow Jackets, the finale for season 3, got like their big thing. Oh, the best streaming numbers ever for Yellow Jackets on that and whatever broadcast network it shows.
Paramount
3 million people. Really? 3 million? And they're like saying, you woo us. And this is in a country of 340 million, the U.S. And they're going 3 million. This is the
whereas Doctor Who gets 3 million for Robot Revolution,
and people say this is the worst ever because it once got, when people had watched only TV and had 8 different channels in the pre-iPlayer days, and sure, it got 14 million that one Christmas in 2007.
Much as I love Hollywood journalism.
Yeah,
with an asterisk on it. I mean, look at how Sinners came out and it made a pile of money, and they're like, "But did it though?" Yeah, it did. It's right there. They made a pile of money. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
the Yellow Jackets thing isn't a direct apples to apples thing because Doctor Who has broadcast TV and streaming. Yellow Jackets is just streaming. So I mean, you're limited.
What is it again? I don't even remember where it's from.
Yellow Jackets? What network? Paramount Plus.
Oh, it is Paramount Plus. Okay.
Yeah. But the whole point of sending it along was that there's shouting to the rafters, 3 million, 3 million. Doctor Who gets 3 million. It's like, oh, it's dead. Nobody's watching.
Well, there's a giant churn factory that has to talk about these things. Otherwise, I won't get those clicks.
Oh yeah,
so,
that's true.
Which we're part of, sadly, but we're not trying to do it for clicks. We're just saying what we think. So
that's got its own positives and negatives to be.
It is the least. Yeah, it is the splintering of the television world, everyone. People do not watch TV at the same time. Vulcanization?
Yeah.
Like rubber?
No, balkanization. As in the Balkans in World War One. So.
Okay. I thought you meant vulcanized rubber.
Yeah, or vulcanization because we're tired.
Or balkanization isn't going to the Balkans.
Yes. Why are we talking about this? Yeah, balkanization. Yes. Balkanization. Yes.
Yeah. Lithuania thanks you for the reference.
Yeah, I'm dying into your Eurovision love, Chris, somehow. With geopolitical references to World War I.
In that case, let me point you to Serbia 2010, where the chorus of the song was Balkan, Balkan, Balkan.
I point you away from your Balkan.
Serbia, which neighbors Croatia, where they shot
Chris,
2 episodes of Doctor Who in 2010. So
your knowledge will be inviolable in a few weeks' time when we're just sitting here scratching our heads going, what is this? No, I don't care. And you'll be able to actually talk to people about this.
Speaking of the Eurovision Song Contest and the Interstellar Song Contest, that was one of 3 episodes previewed in Doctor Who Magazine 616, where they talked about how they animated Lux and a couple other things, but they also had previews for Lucky Day, The Story in the Engine, and the aforementioned Interstellar Song Contest, where they threatened that Murray Gold has written 4 songs.
Threatened? No, we were threatened by it. I don't think they meant to threaten.
4 songs, 4 catchy pop songs, as the article says.
In the Eurovision style.
Yes, in Eurovision style. If you had earworms with the Church of Ruby Road one, then you're going to love a Eurovision Song Contest something.
I don't, and I won't.
Yeah, the Goblin song can die in a fire.
Bracing myself.
I take exception to the phrasing of in the style of Eurovision, because Eurovision is every style.
That's fair. It's a whole bunch of crazy stuff.
That's true. Although I did discover Genghis Khan, German disco supergroup from the late 70s, on their epic hit Moscow.
To be fair, ABBA exists because too, of Eurovision, and I've been to the ABBA Museum twice in Stockholm.
But I saw Genghis Khan's performance from 1979 Eurovision. I thought, okay, this looks like Eurovision today, for what it's worth. The brief clips that I've seen.
It's closer to what we see now than what we saw in like the 60s. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they've just been recreating 1979 for 40
Which
years.
You should love, actually, Stephen. Also, I just thought about this.
Yeah.
I bought a Dancing Queen t-shirt in the Pride style, at the ABBA Museum in Stockholm, and I'm like, when am I ever going to wear this? And I'm like, well, this live stream. So hold me to this. Next week, I'll wear my dancing Queen
Eurovision.
t-shirt.
You
wear for the.
I'll wear it for the song contest.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
to celebrate a thing I hate. But anyway, not Pride, not ABBA.
No, I know. Yeah.
Neil's talking about how in the chat how it's undeniable that people in the UK have moved on from Doctor Who. It doesn't matter how or when they watch it. Most are simply not watching it. Fact. Yeah. Absolute
Fair.
fact.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean it's the death knell either. But imagine that goes on to say, but imagine the BBC potentially not broadcasting an episode of Who when Tennant was the Doctor. Never would happen. But now look, they don't care. And neither do most of the UK, only the hardcore left.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like, even when like Gawas premiered, I just remember like seeing like a bunch of people like why the kids aren't talking about Doctor Who this time around? Like, at what point did it just like sort of suddenly?
I mean, it's been around 20 years. Like the high point, there was some interest because there was the first female Doctor,
right?
Definitely, and then there's interest because there's the first Black Doctor too. But it's been around forever. Like,
I mean, even like The Woman Who Fell to Earth, what 2018 it was, like got 10 million viewers that first night, and we're firmly
there was media attention, I guess, for both.
But by Orphan 55, it was down quite a lot.
It was down quite a lot, but we never even had that bit of bump of curiosity, even with Ncuti Gatwa.
But it's been around for 2 decades. The new version has been new in quotes.
That's
it's
true.
Been around for 2 decades. So at some point, that's a miracle that it's come around twice in 20-year jumps or whatever. Like this never happens, right? It just doesn't. So
yeah.
So that in and of itself is, so people are inevitably going to get sick and tired of it until they aren't again. That's just the way TV is.
That's true.
How tired of Star Trek are you right now, Stephen?
Now that is a big old juicy steak you just threw his way, and I'm going to grab some myself.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at like the Rick Berman era, like by the time they got to Voyager, it was it was hardcore fans. Like, I remember watching that
when the Abrams films, which I'm no fan of, when they came out, I was all for it because I'm like, we needed a rest and we needed a reboot, and that happened. It just wasn't a reboot I wanted, so that's on me. So
no, it's not on you. It's on. It's on Alex Kurtzman,
but this happens with everything.
Podcast.
Like, like Star Trek, there's, maybe it needs another reboot, frankly. But again, I'm not the intended viewer, so.
Aren't you though?
No, I just want the old stuff, and that's that's me being old. So
that's true.
Which you've got.
Yeah, which I have. So what the hell am I complaining about?
Yeah, we've got I don't think I watched them. Yeah, we've got the Blu-rays sitting on the shelf of all the TOS stuff. So the movies, the old TOS, TAS.
Yeah, I've got all that stuff kicking around.
Yeah.
So, and every once in a while, I'll go back to TNG because that's what I like. But that's because some kids now are going to watch Strange New Worlds. That'll be their Star Trek, and more power to them.
Even TOS, by the time they hit season 3, like it's just garbage.
I never even got to season 3.
How dare you?
The first
how dare you?
Seasons.
And if any of you come for the animated series.
Animated series, I watched it. I remember watching it back in the day. I remember getting iron-on decals from Happy Meals.
Oh my God! What a glorious time
for the animated series in the early '80s. Like,
wow!
So probably after it was it was off the air.
Actually, the first Happy Meal. This is a bit of trivia. The first Happy Meal was a tie-in with the motion picture. The least Happy Meal movie of them all.
That is weird. Really, Happy Meal motion pictures?
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Is it like like that chicken McNuggets bits, like the McDonald's transporter?
I swear I saw them as a kid.
I
remember walking into McDonald's and seeing Happy Meals for the motion picture after watching the motion picture as a 10-year-old and going, what? Okay.
Is it like the DVD release of the Web Planet where there's a secret tab of acid hidden in there so you can enjoy the product more? Or
I've never heard this rumor, and I prefer I didn't.
Oh wow. The Persis Kambata milkshake.
Hey,
now, I would be first in line for Persis Kambata milkshake.
It brought Warren to the yard.
You definitely, that's great. Why doesn't this milkshake have a little LED on it? Why isn't it calling me the fry unit?
What?
I'm not here to kink shame. But time to place.
If you were, this would be a good candidate.
I feel like I opened this can of crap. So I'm just going to close it and talk about the war games. Yes, go on. What did you say?
I was going to say, because we've got 8 weeks of Doctor Who. We don't yet know when the War Between is going to air, but probably not
November.
Not at any point in time where it's going to cross over or like run at the same time as Doctor Who.
We doing live streams for that? We do Land Between the War and Sea live streams.
But back in the day when we had DS9 overlapping with TNG for Well,
weird.
A very little bit.
Yeah.
A couple of years. And then we had Voyager overlapping with DS9, and it's like that was, especially with them all being 26 episode seasons and whatnot. That was a lot at the time, which we're not getting. But however much Doctor Who fatigue might exist right now, is that going to be exacerbated when the war between rolls around?
Because it's just not proper Doctor Who.
Whatever numbers Doctor Who does or doesn't get, I can't imagine the war between the land and the sea getting remotely the same.
No
viewing figures.
Well,
so much lower.
I mean, I think you're probably right, but
just because I mean, Doctor Who in and of itself is a well-known thing. The war between, even though it's Doctor Who characters, is new and untested.
Unless they bring back the Merca, in which case everybody's going to be on board.
That's true. The big episode 3 cliffhanger reveal of the Merca,
and it's going to be the old Merca, the crappy Merca from Where's the Deep.
We'll be flopping around, and Matt Irwin's going to show up on War Between the Land and the Sea Confidential and talk about it. Oh, here's what we did. Except we messed it up again.
2 guys in a pantomime horse with a head.
Yeah, except they're on green screen. We just let it. Yeah, exactly.
What do we want the War Between behind the scenes show to be called?
Oh,
the war between
Under the
land.
Sea.
The war between the land and the sea. Drained?
I like Drained. Drained's good, yeah.
Yeah, Drained
Flushed.
Sea.
Flushed.
Yeah, exactly. Amphibicast. Is that it? Can we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, go on to the War Games.
As we talk about the Doctor Who.
You still don't have your copy?
I still don't have my free copy because they had the incorrect address on it. So it's sitting in Toronto somewhere. Hopefully it'll arrive tomorrow, but we'll find out. But yeah, it's coming out June 24th in North America. I assume it's not a 1-disc set. There are several discs on that, despite what the official North American artwork has to say. A 1-disc set. That's like when, Thotch was at number 1 for 1 consecutive week. It's like,
Thank you. Pandering to me and me only.
It's kind of ridiculous because I like all the original 10 episodes are on there too and everything else. And
the War Chief looks like he fell out of Thunderbirds.
A little bit. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out June 24th.
I bet you're happy that Screen Rant gets
they get a pull quote.
That's a sentence I've never put out there. I'm happy that Screen Rant. You can just stop it right there.
Yeah. Some kind person tagged us on some social media network or another, and because they put the comparison between the HD footage. Which I don't know if you know this, everyone. But
did you tell Christopher Eccleston that when you interviewed him?
I interviewed Chris Eccleston in 2020 saying, you don't know this yet, but in 4.5 years' time, I'm going to interview the film editor for the War Games, Chris Hayden, and he's going to reveal on that interview that he has an old film reel from the War Games in 1969. And because of that, I'm going to be on a DVD extra. No.
And then Chris Eccleston stood up and punched you.
He did punch me.
And he was right to do so.
He was. To his credit, he punched me a lot less harder than he punched John Barrowman. But anyway,
your crimes aren't as bad. So
I know this person did a comparison of the original footage as seen on the original master that we have compared with the thing. There's a screen grab in a live stream right now, but he posted the whole thing on Vimeo if you want to watch the comparison video, and it looks really good because
the starkness is amazing.
It's stunning, isn't it? And even like because they zoomed in a little bit to make the telecine copy of which all the masters are, so we actually have a little more area around the frame itself. So that was cool. So that was a neat thing to do. Looking forward to watching my copy. Hopefully by this time next week. I'll have
not often you get a video release exclaiming 6 extra minutes of footage.
I know, because they put in some extra stuff that they took out because they had like a 90-minute broadcast window on BBC4. And so they trimmed 6 minutes from it, and so they put those back in, essentially. Like the sonic screwdriver sequence is back in, and a couple other sequences. Is there
a little more explanation of the Mexican guy, whose name escapes me?
No, I think it's...
Because he pops in out of nowhere.
Well, I know, because,
Well, there's reasons for that. Yes, I know, but also you're like, who the hell is this guy? What's he doing here?
So I
know who he is, but yeah.
You've got the disappearing dude in Curse of the Black Spot, and then the mysteriously appearing.
They go off in their own spin-off
here.
called Bad Idea.
Bad Idea Theater. Yeah. Some Big Finish stuff. Let's analyze some cover art for Big Finish. The Vampire Weekend, the first Jodie Whittaker, Mandip, Gill audio is coming out in June. The details of that came out. Let's see here. Well, there's Doctor Who and and
some lizardy guy.
Yes, and like it is kind of a bat-like kind of guy. Kind of looks like the Great Vampire. Is it the Great Vampire from State of Decay?
But only for a weekend. It's good, great title, by the way. Also,
Vampire
I just think Yaz and 13 are a great team. So
Vampire Weekend's the name of a band.
They missed a trick by not having a third movie, Vampire Weekend at Bernie's.
No, that's not missing a trick at all. First of all, he's already dead if he's a vampire. So
he is a vampire already, isn't he?
He'd be undead then.
Oh, I don't know.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Also,
no worse than the guy from Curse of the Black Spot and the Mexican guy.
Oh no, I'm not arguing with that at all. Those are both independently bad ideas. Yes,
that's right. Also coming from Big Finish, Doctor Who Pursuit, starring Paul.
Well, what's
McGann,
it about?
Amber Campbell-Jones and Sonny McGann. There's the two McGanns looking at. Is that a Geth? Is that a Sontaran ship? I think it's a Sontaran.
It looks like a gender swap war doctor is what it looks like to me. There, I've said it.
That's Emma Campbell-Jones, who it
looks like.
I know, of course.
It looks like a Sontaran ship with Cybermen inside.
Oh, what? They can't do that. Actually, they can. It's Big Finish. They can do it.
Hey, listen, as an Action Dolly owner, yes, you can do that.
With giant elastic bands at the side, making it look more like a baseball without the curvature to the stitching.
Is gold.
Anti-gold.
It kind of looks like Sutek's original form in Pyramids of Mars as a Sontaran warship with a Cyberman involved. That is like the Big Finish story generator, like just gone on overdrive. Pull the lever and see what they come up with.
That's like if ChatGPT is writing these things.
That's true. And also Doctor Who, The Ruins of Kelura is coming June 2025 with Tom Baker. There's no cover art for us to overanalyze for that, so we can't look at that. So what else we got? Oh, there's a book. Warren, this is going to be right up your alley. It's a book based in the world of Paradise Towers, as it should be, coming out from T Davies Film.
I would like to think it's about Kang the Conqueror from Marvel fame and ex-MCU fame.
Kang Dynasty coming out May 3rd,
coming 2025. Out in a week. Yeah, oops, maybe not.
Let's go to the theater and watch that, everyone. Anyway, that's coming from my Verse books. It's out now, actually. In the worlds of Paradise Towers, the Stephen Wyatt verse is getting quite a thing, because there's been that Stephen Wyatt wrote the that JNT play.
The Paradise Towers comics.
Yeah.
From Cutaway. And then this.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's all there.
It's not season 24, it's 25, but I finally cracked the plastic on my season 25 Blu-rays.
Oh, well done.
Nice.
Well done, Chris.
I've got
give it a year to watch it.
Got through the first half, so the first 4 discs, and man, the revamped Paradise Towers to Happiness Patrol. It's just so fantastic.
It's the definitive version. I said it on this podcast when we first had it. Yeah, Pete McTighe made the. Maybe we should put that version of Happiness Patrol in the miniscope. No, okay.
No, I don't want to watch it anymore than I have to.
It's great. It's a superb version, Warren. I mean,
I don't like Happiness Patrol.
I don't like it. Yeah, it doesn't. Let me put it this way: it won't make it any better for you.
I praise them doing work on it. I know people love it. That's great. Yeah. I'm happy for everybody else. I just don't like that story.
As I think I said at the time, the extended cut of it on its own makes it good. All the extra visuals just kind of like the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
but it as much as people hate revisionism. Some people.
It depends. It really depends.
I'm all for this. This was.
I think it's all contextual. Sometimes I hate revisionism. Sometimes it adds to it.
I think it sort of restores some of the original vision that they couldn't do in a BBC television center studio. Upon original broadcast, I never thought that they were outside. I just assumed they were inside, and because it was in a studio. But they do their best to sort of, and the final shot of it is just perfect. And there's so many wonderful touches. It breathes a little more. I think a lot of Cartmel era Doctor Who, I think, crams a lot is stuff in there because
especially for a 3-parter.
Yeah, there's way too many ideas, let's face it, in Cartmill stuff, which, is better than having no ideas.
I was going to say, that's...
And having, Doctor Who and H.G. Wells bicker in a TARDIS for 6.5 minutes.
Come on,
that's an episode.
That's the gravy right there.
and
have it be the best 6 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as an aside, the Matthew Sweet Chris Clough interview is phenomenal.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
So good. So good. They don't even get to Doctor Who for 25 minutes or something, half an hour.
No.
I'm old enough that would make me very mad if I was 15.
So
54, I'm like, yes.
It's a 52 or so minute interview, and it's halfway through roughly before they even talk about Doctor Who.
I'm gonna watch that. Gotta watch that once my other 2 shows that I watch are done.
Yeah.
That being The Last of Us.
You can watch them talk about things you've never seen, like Skins and EastEnders.
I've never seen those. Never seen them. Nope, not a second. That's fine. One last bit of thing, mostly plugging work of people we know and friends. The Quatermass film Hammer box set is coming soon. Toby Haydock is across 2 or 3 of the extras. Being a Quatermass expert, of course, this isn't the BBC version. This is the film versions, but I do believe that
the 2 extant BBC episodes from 53 are on there somewhere.
The 2 ones that they actually filmed off of live. So because I don't think they've ever had they might have had a proper release. I don't know.
We talked about this last week.
Quatermass,
Quatermass stuff, because that's when the pre-order for Toby's book.
His book came out. Yeah,
book album was sold out for the hardcover.
That's true. Yeah, I know. And the and 2 separate book launches in bigger places kept selling out too. So everyone loves Quatermass apparently. Which maybe is what Doctor Who will have to go back to when it loses the Disney money. We'll just be doing black and white live stories on TV.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Come on.
I will tempt you with this. So next week, same time, same bat channel. Lucky day. Doctor Who's companions do a podcast. How meta will this be? Oh, we're gonna point out the factual errors about podcasting.
All the unit. Organizations doing podcasts, official corporate podcasts. Why unit?
Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a big Ruby heavy episode by the looks of it, with some Doctor Who flashbacks, because of course they can't return back to 2025, May 24th, especially. So
it's a clip show, is what you're saying?
It's a clip show. Can you imagine? There's only 8 episodes a year, and they only do a clip show for one of them. Wow.
I mean, yes, I can imagine that, but anyway. Yeah.
Shades of gray, you might say.
Mm-hmm. Based on the trailer and that still photo there, that the guy who plays the dude has a very punchable face.
Wow, it's coming in hot.
Chris is violent towards Ruby Sunday's new boyfriend next week on Radio Free Skaro. Tune in for that. In the meantime, and in between time, I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Morning, Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.